Today is October 26, 2022. I'm your host, Isaac Foxx, and this is Action Wrestling News, the show that gives you a wrestling insight, news, and opinions daily. This is going to be your NXT review. We are going to get into what NXT has done in order to turn a corner and become a great wrestling product. However, before we get any deeper into that, let's pay a couple bills here. So, if you would like to support the show, you can donate $5 to receive a shout out. Just go to actionwrestlingnews.com to donate. You will see a link at the top that says support the show at the top. Also, the best way to support the show is to share this show with all your friends and give us a review. If you would like to contact the show, you can do so by sending us an email at actionwrestlingnews@gmail.com. Also, we are now on YouTube, so go ahead and subscribe. Just search for Action Wrestling News and you will find us on YouTube. So we're going to get straight into the NXT review. We only have one piece of news really here. It just comes from the Wrestling Observer. And it reads as follows. New Japan Pro Wrestling has released a statement regarding Carl Anderson and the never openweight title, saying Carl Anderson must defend the title on November 5th or he will be stripped of the championship. Now, both parties are saying, so you have New Japan Pro Wrestling saying that Anderson knew that he had to defend the title, which I'm going to assume that he did. If I knew, you knew, and anyone else who watches New Japan Pro Wrestling knew, I'm pretty sure Carl Anderson knew when WWE called and said, hey, we want you to wrestle on Saudi Arabia. We know what really happened here. WWE has a bigger checkbook than New Japan Pro Wrestling. So championship be damned. Hey, it's two things that you do when you're wrestling. It's all about championships and checks. Anderson chose the checks. And this is what it is. Nothing wrong with that. Well, it kind of is something wrong with that because it's kind of like, it's like burning a bridge. It's like if you have a commitment with one job, even though another job may say, hey, we can pay you more if you leave them right now. I mean, you know, I guess you can do what you want to do. It's not really about loyalty here, but it's like, I don't know. How does that make you look for like then another company that might want to give you more money? Because they just know that if they book you for something, then you're just going to leave for more money or leave for WWE or do something. Like you're not really, your word means nothing. But hey, but that's that. So what's probably going to happen here is this. Carl Anderson is going to be wrestling on the Saudi Arabia show Crown Jewel, and he will not be wrestling on Battle Autumn. He's going to be stripped of the title, and probably this is the last time we're going to see Carl Anderson in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, if he actually manages to come back and gets to wrestle in NJPW, I got to look at NJPW a little differently because where's the respect for their product? Where's the respect that they have for what they have going on? If they're just going to allow WWE to just, you know, kind of take their talent and just not care about their championships. But I guess you got to do what you got to do in order to get the money. But yeah, rolling on from there. Just got a couple of reviews on the actual show itself that then we're going to run through the matches. One thing I noticed here, this show was extremely segment heavy. Now, I actually counted before I did this, and I think I counted about 5 matches that happened. Granted, it was probably only like 3 matches that mattered, which was both of the tag team championship matches and the match between JD McDonough and Ilya Dragunov. The rest of the matches were just either squash matches or matches that just really didn't matter. Now, in saying that, despite this, NXT has become a much better product. If anyone has listened to this show for any length of time, you would have heard that each time I have to review NXT, it is a painful experience, but it is slowly getting better and better and better. Now, this could be due to a few things. It could be due to the fact that Vince is now gone and they've done away with the NXT 2.0 gimmick, and now they're going back to the old school black and white, the old school black and yellow NXT situation, back to the Capital Wrestling days. Or they could just really be finally getting some type of storylines, because it seems like we're trying to make we're trying to go back to things being real, things being as real as possible, things being serious. We'll see. I will say this show in particular was a pretty good show, despite it being very segment heavy, despite it being not too many matches that matter. And by the way, a show being segment heavy, it's not really an issue with me, especially if you're actually building up something that you're building up matches that mean something. You know, the problem comes when you have like one or two matches that mean nothing, and then you're building up to stupidity like what we had on Monday Night Raw, where where it's like the entire story was focused on The Miz and Johnny Gargano. Yeah, I spoke enough on that. I ranted enough on that yesterday, but it's just, let's just hope that the rest of the shows don't follow that same pattern. So we start off here. We start off at the top of the show. It is a match for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. It is Nikita Lyons versus Zoe Starks going up against Kaden Carter and Katana Chase. What's interesting here is when this match started, they started with all four women already in the ring, like there were no entrances. I assume that the live audience got an entrance, but we definitely didn't get one. We just come in the air and they're just in the ring introducing them. I guess they were maybe pressed for time. I mean, I have a hard time believing that, but maybe they were pressed for time. But you know what? It didn't matter, because this was probably the best match on the card. I mean, I know it's only Tuesday and we got a couple more shows to go here before the week is over, but I dare say this may or may not become the best match of the week. But we'll see. The match itself started off pretty decently. They went back and forth, which of course was laying the groundwork for once again what was going to become a very good match. These four women, they worked really well together. It was a good combination of Nikita Lyons and Zoe Starks with the power, and Carter and Chance with the speed. And Carter and Chance, they definitely utilize that speed in order to counteract the power that Starks and Lyon has. It's really, I'm not sure what else to say here. I mean, it was a pretty good match. I'll say this, I didn't really expect it to be that good. I feel it's weird. As much as I've been watching this show, it's almost as if, I think I said this before about another show. Yeah, it was about the NXT Halloween Havoc. It's as if some of these characters I don't really know, even though I've been watching the show for, like a month and a half now. It's like I'm not really sure who some of these characters are, which is a problem. If I watch the show for a month and a half, I'm not sure. This is bad storytelling. This is just them not doing a good job of building these people up. But I don't understand. It's weird, but in any event, so Zoe Starks pins Chance with a roll-up for the win. However, Chance is actually not the legal competitor. It looks like there was a blind tag between Carter and Chance, but we didn't see it. Looks like what happened here when Kaden Carter pinned Chance, when Kaden Carter blind tagged Chance, Nikita Lyons kind of knocked Carter out of the ring. So it looked like Chance was a legal competitor, and then she got pinned, but she was not legal. So the match was actually restarted. Now, once this happened, everything began to pick up, and you got the women just diving everywhere. Near falls here, near falls there. They just going out and just killing each other, basically. And in the end, Chance and Carter end up retaining their NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. Again, this was match of the night for sure. I mean, again, it could potentially be match of the week, which is interesting because there was another tag team title match, which it wasn't as great. I'll admit it wasn't. It was okay. I don't want to say it was bad, but it just wasn't as great. But this was definitely a good match. So moving on from there, we get in the ring. We have Wesley in the ring. Wesley on Saturday, he won the NXT North American Championship. Crowd's behind him. Everybody's emotional. The crowd is chanting, "You deserve it." He's out there all happy and proud, and just a excited champion, right? He thanks the crowd. Then Grayson Waller comes out there and somehow says that he never lost to Apollo Crews. I understand that when you're the heel, you're supposed to have an out. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he put me in the coffin, but he didn't really pin me, even though that's irrelevant because it was a coffin match. And you win by putting your opponent into the coffin. My man literally just said that, yeah, he rolled me into an inanimate object, but he didn't really win. I won. I mean, now he just sounds delusional because clearly you lost the match. Like, what the hell are you talking about? But there was no rhyme or reason. No, he just didn't lose. All right. So later on, so within this same promo, R-Truth comes out. So I wrote down here, he's working this week. I guess he's going to be on SmackDown this coming Friday because he was on Raw. He came on in the Gargano segment. Now he's here on NXT. There's actually all sets up a match between Truth and Waller next week. I'm not sure what's up with R-Truth. First of all, I'm not sure what kind of workout regimen or whatever R-Truth is on or what he's doing or what kind of fountain of youth this guy has, but this guy looks like he's 35. He looks like he's been 35 for the past 35 years or 25 years or whatever it was. My man has been wrestling probably since I've been watching wrestling. You know, back in the day in the Attitude Era when he was K-Quick. Now, of course, he's R-Truth. I think they say he's like 55, 56, something like that. Bruh, what's he doing in the gym? What kind of protein shake is he drinking? Like, I swear to God, it's like he doesn't age. And now he's in NXT. He doesn't look like what he should be, which is the old guy around a young guy. He looks like he could fit right in. I don't know what kind of magic he's living in, but yeah. But this is hilarious. We have R-Truth out there. He thinks that this is Halloween Havoc. He says Happy Halloween. Of course, he's tweaking because Halloween Havoc was Saturday. He's just being R-Truth. He gets the crowd to chant at Grayson Waller saying British accent and no, you don't. Just ridiculousness. So we end up where this is how we get the match set up here. Waller tries to eventually attack R-Truth, but gets blocked. Wesley and R-Truth end up beating up Grayson Waller, and he just runs out the ring. So yeah, next week we're getting R-Truth versus Grayson Waller. I'm not sure what's up with R-Truth showing up and on all these different shows unannounced just randomly, but I mean, hey, no problem. He's probably the only comedy character that I have no issue with. I say all the time, give me reality and realness in wrestling. But I ain't gonna promote R-Truth. He's hilarious. He's R-Truth. He's the only guy who could probably actually do that. So rolling on from there, in the back we have Malik Blade and Idris Enough. Basically, they're just getting ready for their tag team title match. They're hyping it up. They're saying what they're going to do, how they're going to take things serious, and who was that? I think that was Enough to hype up his tag team partner. He begins to quote 8 Mile lyrics or Eminem lyrics, period. Just, yeah. Rolling on from there, we got in the ring, we got Quincy Elliott, and he's introducing Shotzi Blackheart. Booker T, I swear, he's trying his best to not say anything that'll get him canceled, to not say anything that could seem remotely homophobic. He's trying his best to just, I swear, every time we see Quincy Elliott on TV, Booker T he don't say none. He probably just sitting there looking at his bank account like, all right, I gotta make sure this keep growing. I'm gonna keep it to myself, bro. He just I can hear and feel the uncomfortableness just by watching the TV show. He just, yeah, it was. I think it was a line on what was that, Halloween Havoc, where Vic Joseph said Quincy Elliott is here to quench everyone's thirst. Isn't that right, Booker? He was like, nah, he here to quench your thirst. He here to quench everyone's thirst. Booker T is having none of the nonsense, bro. He's just like, look, they pay me to do a job. I'm going to chill out. But anyway, all right. See, my notes are weird because honestly, NXT is set up weird because they set up one segment, then they bounce to another, and then they bounce back to the next one. So I have written down here, Apollo Crews is backstage. I guess he's no longer doing the whole spooky Undertaker Kane Apollo Crews gimmick. He's just Mr. Wrestler Man who wants to become the NXT champion. I mean, that's cool and all, but what was the point of him showing up and having visions of and apparitions of his eye bleeding and him wanting to take out Buddy's eyes and coming out on Halloween Havoc with evil druids in a casket match? What was the purpose of any of that? But I'm glad now he's focused on becoming NXT champion. And he's probably not going to win it. I would like for him to win it. That would be great. But they need to build him up more. Hopefully he's not the next opponent for Braun Breaker. Although he did say that Braun Breaker is going to be showing up next week on NXT. So we may get a case where Apollo goes up to Braun Breaker and tries to challenge him. I hope not. I don't think he's really ready for that yet. Yeah, I get it. Cruz has been on the main roster. He already should be a star, but that's the thing. He should be a star. He's not yet. He can get there. He's a great athlete. He could get better on the mic. He's a great athlete, period. But just not yet. So, if the first match, the women's tag team title match was the best match of the card, potentially the best match of the week, this was by far the worst match of the week. We have Lash Legend versus Shotzi. I simply just wrote here. So Shotzi wins. She hits a never wake up DDT for the win. This was a pretty sloppy match. Lash Legend, she's not really good in the ring. It's just I don't know how else to say this. I'm sure she can improve, and I get it. This is NXT, right? This is a developmental brand, so people here they're learning how to become good professional wrestlers. But at the same time, this is a wrestling product that is on national TV. If they want to run with that, then they need to take it off of cable and put it on Peacock, where very few people can see it, if that's what they're going to do. Since that's not what they're going to do, because, money, then they only need to put people up there who are really good. And I mean, what I don't understand, they have an actual NXT show where they can put people up there who are new. That's the NXT Level Up. I don't review that show because, I mean, it's a lot of shows. I'm not going to review that show necessarily, but why don't they just put her on there and have her just wrestle on there and learn? I mean, they must have done the same thing with another woman who I'm going to be reviewing later. I think her name was SoCal. Sol Ruka. She faces Indy Hartwell later on in the evening, but they must have did that with her, because I said the same thing with Sol Ruka a handful of weeks ago. She came out there and just kind of stunk up the joint, and it wasn't a good match. And Lash Legend is doing the same thing here. Hey, look, anyone is able to improve. They're in a wrestling school, so I can give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure she can improve. It's just I probably already spent more time on this match than I needed to. My speaking of it was probably longer than the match, but at the end of the day, Shotzi wins. Lash can get better. I see potential, but yeah, we'll move on from there. So moving on, we then have Brutus Creed versus Damian Kemp. Now, that's what the match was supposed to be, and it was supposed to be that Brutus has 5 minutes, I guess, to wrestle Kemp. Instead, Kemp shows him on the screen, claims that he's not medically cleared, and that he has 5 minutes of pain for them. And then out comes Sangha and Veer Mahan. They just completely destroy the Creed brothers. And I guess this is what that conversation was, because if you remember a couple of weeks back, I think that was Sangha. He walked up to Veer Mahan and he kind of like whispered something in his ear, then they walked away. I'm going to assume that's what that was. That probably was Damian Kemp saying, look, if I lose a match on Halloween Havoc, then I want you guys to take care of the Creed brothers in my absence, because I'll be injured. I probably won't be able to do it, all that type of situation. So I guess that's what that was. But rolling on from there, we have Toxic Attraction. They're FaceTiming each other. I mean, they're just speaking about the events on Halloween Havoc. You got one of them is in the car, one of them is, I guess, getting a tan, the other one was in the gym. I mean, they're just, talking about what happened on Halloween Havoc. I'm going to nitpick something here. I get the idea of them FaceTiming and us seeing that they're FaceTiming each other. But what's weird is that if they're FaceTiming each other, why am I able to see, how can I put this? Why am I able to see an outside perspective of one of them holding the phone? Like, why is there a camera guy outside of Mandy Rose's car recording her? It's kind of weird. Why is there a camera guy in front of Gigi Dolan while she's on the by the pool trying to get a tan? Like, why is this random camera guy at the gym just recording this woman FaceTiming her friends on the phone? I mean, I get it. I'm doing too much. This is wrestling. They're there because they're recording a TV show. But I mean, I don't know. You got to use. This is definitely a nitpick because the next person probably could give a shit. They were like, well, look, it's TV. But you got to use some kind of, make it make sense. Especially if you're going to go out of your way to do the whole FaceTime gimmick where it looks like they're FaceTiming each other and then they just have, which, another thing, why if they're an actual feed to the FaceTime, hey, look, this was a nitpick. This was fine. It was what it was. So the next match there that we have here, our next match is Malik Blade versus Idris Enough going up against Pretty Deadly for the NXT Tag Team Championships. And once again, we start this match off pretty hot with Enough hitting a picture perfect immediately for a near fall. Like, this was like seconds within the match. I swear, I looked away to like write some on my computer, and next thing I know, we're getting a near fall. That gave me high hopes that this was going to be a huge match, a great match. Again, this match was good. I just think, unfortunately, the women's match, they just happened to do better. But, I mean, this match was great. We had so many different hot spots here. We had Blade flying through the air with a dive on Pretty Deadly. Now, me saying that doesn't do it enough justice. So, let me see if I can paint this picture for anyone who has not seen it. So, you have Blade in, like, the middle of the ring. You have Pretty Deadly on like the corner of the ring post, kind of where like the timekeeper normally sits, and Blade just does a sprint and just dives totally over the ring post and everything, and just lays out Pretty Deadly. It looked ridiculous. You got the crowd chanting holy shit," which got bleeped out. Which that's something I should speak on actually. If the WWE is gonna start bleeping out the holy shit chants, then I don't know. Maybe they need to tell them that you can't say holy shit on TV, because now it sounds stupid as I'm watching it, because you got the fans chanting holy shit, and then the commentators are trying to commentate on the match. But I mean, I don't know how the audio is working for them, but I assume this is on like the same type of like track or whatever it is. So when you block out the audience, you then block out the commentators too, which is ridiculous. So they need to either just let that slide, just let it slide. You can't block out the audience, let it slide. Just, it is what it is, because it gets to sound stupid. But again, this gets a holy shit chant because it was pretty damn impressive. Once again, we got Blade with the near fall after several counter attempts into a roll up. So you got them in the ring like rolling around, trying to get a pinfall, trying to get a cover, not working, near falls. Again, this was a pretty good match. The match ends with Pretty Deadly hitting spilled milk to retain the title. I didn't know that was a name of the move. It's like, how can I describe this? It's like one of them is like holding them up, and the other kind of does like an elbow. It kind of reminds me of like a doomsday device, but like on the ground and not actually on the top rope. But yeah, Pretty Deadly hits spilled milk in order to retain the championship. Once again, this was a pretty good match. I'm not mad that Pretty Deadly is champion, because again, I'm saying that they needed to have more serious people as champions. They need to have more serious people wrestling, period. But you know what? When I look at Pretty Deadly, I kind of get the vibe of, should I say this? Whatever. When I look at Pretty Deadly, I kind of get the vibe of like Billy and Chuck, where if you know what the gimmick of Billy and Chuck was, then you know what the gimmick of Billy and Chuck was. I'll just let you research that for yourself. But that's the vibe that I get from Pretty Deadly, which is the Billy and Chuck, which that worked. That worked for the time, and it's working here. Of course, their gimmick isn't so much Billy and Chuck. Their gimmick is more their fashion models. They're what's the term? Metrosexuals. They're like these fashion plates who, hell, their name is Pretty Deadly. So, I mean, yeah, get it? They're deadly and they think they're pretty. Right. Moving on from there, we have a backstage segment with JD McDonough. Basically, it's just a package hyping up the match that he has later on with Ilya Dragunov. I didn't write it here, but Ilya Dragunov also had the same type of package hyping up their match. So, it looks like what's happening here, the next feud is going to be JD McDonough versus Ilya Dragunov. And the way this show ended was definitely proof of that. They're definitely going off the air with JD McDonough and Ilya Dragunov being the next kind of blood feud that they have on that show. And meaning Braun Breaker is going to be fighting somebody else for that championship. I guess it's going to be Apollo Crews, but we'll see. I mean, it's a big roster, right? So, we move on to the big reveal. We have Schism in the ring. Each member cuts a promo. I don't know what the hell they were saying. I made sure to quote myself as I wrote this. I said, "What the fuck are they talking about?" This is the exact words I said as I was watching this happen. But it doesn't matter because, basically they were just saying things like, just like, how can I even put this? Your typical cult leader control things, bow down to us, or if you want to be free, listen to us, that type of stuff. It doesn't matter. The entire point of this was the big reveal. For weeks, there's been a woman walking around in the red, or there's been a person. We didn't know it was a woman until tonight, actually. It was a person walking around in a red hoodie, a yellow face mask, just doing random tasks, doing things to them. We never knew who this person was. And it turns out this mysterious person is Ava Raine. Who is Ava Raine? Ava Raine is Simone Johnson, which is The Rock's daughter. Now, we knew The Rock's daughter was wrestling, and I guess this is how they're going to debut her. I always question sometimes, especially when you have the daughter of someone, or the child, period, of someone famous. I don't know, why wouldn't you want to let it be obvious that person is the famous offspring of a famous wrestler? God, I can't say that. Yeah, but I guess that has its pros and its cons. I mean, I know when Charlotte Flair was wrestling in the past, they really didn't express loudly that Charlotte was Ric Flair's daughter. That's why her name was Charlotte. And then later on, it was Charlotte Flair because, it made sense for her character. Hell, even Braun Breaker, who is Rick Steiner's son, they don't call him, what's his name? What's his real name? Braun? I forget what his real name is, but they call him Braun Breaker. Now, I don't know if they did acknowledge that Ava Raine is The Rock's daughter, I don't know what kind of name she would have. The Rock's dad name was Rocky Johnson. The Rock, which of course just called The Rock. I don't know what. I guess her real name would have worked. I guess, but it probably doesn't matter because me and I don't think anyone else who knows wrestling and anyone else who looked up who was Ava Raine, they found out very quickly that she was The Rock's daughter. And I feel like I want to take back everything I just said because I really just thought about something here. With this being The Rock's daughter, that could put a lot of pressure on her. It's like when Michael Jordan's son started to play basketball. Michael Jordan's son ain't Michael Jordan. So it puts kind of undue pressure. So maybe, I guess that could be a reason why they will try to make her be in her own path as much as possible. But we'll see how this works. She seemed to be decent enough on the mic, we haven't seen her wrestle. They'll probably have her wrestle next week. So we'll see how this works. It kind of looks like I don't think she's going to be the leader of this group, but I wonder if she could. She seems to already have a presence about her, but I mean, I could be reading a lot into this, but we'll see as the weeks go on. So moving on from there, our next match was Indy Hartwell versus Sol Ruca. I forgot that Sol Ruca once again had like one match like weeks and weeks ago, and she disappeared from TV. But like I said earlier in the show, they had the one match. It wasn't that great. I think she won that match actually, but it wasn't that great. And hey, they took her down. They took her off TV, and they had her do some training. Nothing wrong with that at all. Again, this is developmental. This is where they're developing their stars. Hell, they even had Indy Hartwell go out there and say that it's cool that you can do these flips and these tricks for the fans, but it doesn't mean anything if in the end you don't actually win. So, I mean, yeah, they're doing what needs to be done. But in the end, once again, Indy Hartwell wins. She wins with the elbow to the back of the head, which I did not expect this to be some type of a squash match. I was expecting Hartwell to lose because I figured that they're trying to build up Sol Ruca. It seems like we're doing the exact opposite. We're just beating her, which, I mean, hey, who knows? She could have her change of gimmicks. She could update some things. We'll see as time goes on. Right, and there was one more thing. Elektra Lopez comes out, and she basically beats up both women. I was wondering where Elektra Lopez was, because if you remember, she was the female manager of Legado del Fantasma, who is now on SmackDown, it is, and they're with Zelina Vega. But looks like she stayed out here, and I guess she's going to be working within the women's division. Probably get a championship, probably get a tag team. We'll see. Moving on, there was a weird segment here. It was a segment where somebody named Scripps called the PC, the Performance Center, with some sort of cryptic message. I did not take the time to write it down, but it was something to the effect of, I'm going to rip NXT limb from limb. I'm going to watch it burn down. Something that, you probably call the police for. Someone calls your place of business and says they're going to like murder everyone in their establishment. But I mean, wrestling, I understand. So who knows? Who knows what that is? Hey, as much as I like the Bray Wyatt characters and the Undertaker characters and all that, it seems like there are a lot of spooky factions and like deadly factions in wrestling right now. Specifically in WWE, we have the Judgment Day. We have who was like this cult type of thing. We have Schism, who are these drink the Kool-Aid and you'll love it, it's fine type of group. It's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. Now you got this group or person or whoever it is. You got Bray Wyatt, but I don't know, Bray Wyatt might be a little different because he's not really in a group. He's just, I don't know, potentially a psychopath. We're not sure, or a schizophrenic, or something. I think his gimmick is that he's crazy. Again, they showed a psych evaluation for him, but yeah, we'll see what that is. I guess there's some new character and they're trying to introduce it. So we go in the back. We have a Chase University segment. Chase gets upset that Duke won't take any notes. They have this gimmick where Chase just yells and curses at any students like, man, what the fuck are you like? It's just, I don't understand. It's hilarious. They can go through all the trouble to try to bleep out the holy shit chants, and of course they bleeped out when he said what the fuck and all that, but it's like, why even have that on a TV? What's the purpose? But so basically this entire segment is just I don't know how to describe this shit. This entire segment is just Chase is getting upset that Duke won't take his notes. They're speaking about the history of wrestling in November, and there's some lady that Duke Hudson is sitting next to, and he steals her pen because, of course, he forgot to get a pencil. I have a question. A couple of weeks ago, there was a woman on the show. What's her name? Kiana James. She was on the show a couple of weeks ago. And it looked like she was I guess her gimmick is that she is a very successful businesswoman because her finishing move is the 401k. And when she comes out there, she has all of her titles at the bottom of her name. Like she has a master's degree, she has a doctor's degree, she's a doctor, period. She's a lawyer, she's everything. And again, her finishing move is a 401k. That's hilarious. But they had a segment a few weeks ago where it looked like she was building, or she had the blueprints for a school for Chase University. What came of that? Like, are they going to revisit that? I mean, that was a couple weeks ago. I mean, but just seems like you might want to come back to that and figure out and see what that means, because it seemed like a random segment, but maybe I just have to wait. So in our main event here, we had Ilya Dragunov versus JD McDonough. JD McDonough ends up getting the win. This was a really good match. This was a really good match for a couple reasons. First of all, it displays how good of a job Dragunov can do in selling, because, of course, Dragunov lost him. The reason Braun Breaker is still champion is because Braun Breaker speared Dragunov a couple times in order to retain his title. So this week on NXT, he's selling his ribs. So they have his ribs taped up as if they're broken or bruised, or as if he's just hurt. And the way he's just selling, he can't get up. The pain is unbearable. He's doing an excellent job. I mean, there's a spot where Dragunov gets launched onto the announce desks, which when this happens, it kind of brings out the medical staff, the referees. You know, they're trying to make sure that he's not hurt, he's not injured, making sure he can actually continue for the rest of the match. And of course, JD being JD, he's doing what he needs to do. You know, he's working the ribs, puts him in a bear hug. Dragunov does end up making a comeback and hits him with a series of strikes and a slam. Once again, Dragunov doing such a good job at selling those ribs. We don't know if they're broken or bruised. I'm sure it's neither, but it makes you really believe that he could end up being hurt. And the match ends, interestingly, it ends with JD puts Dragunov to sleep with a chokehold body scissor. Now, that's fine enough, but also what happened here is that he never let go. And you know, I gotta admit, if this was an actual submission hold, I'm with Booker T. What took the referee so damn long? I mean, my man could have had his ribs broken, his neck snapped. I mean, he was clearly passed out for like several seconds, at least 15 to 20 seconds, just no movement, bleeding from his mouth. I'm like, ref, can you call the match? He's already dead. Like, ref, but I don't know what the ref is doing. Taking a nap, I guess. But in any event, JD McDonough wins. He makes him go to sleep. He doesn't let go. And they actually end up stretching Ilya Dragunov off. So this is probably a way to get him off TV for a couple of weeks. And we're just going to have JD McDonough either, well, you know, I don't know what he's going to do, because I was thinking that this is going to start up another feud between McDonough and Dragunov. But I guess not, because Braun Breaker is going to move on with the NXT title picture. So no telling what JD is going to do, unless Dragunov is going to be back next week. But I doubt it, since they did a stretcher angle. Typically when they do stretcher angles, the person is gone for like a handful of weeks because they're in a stretcher and they're injured. But we'll see what happens there. But that's the show. So I hope you enjoyed. Tomorrow we will be reviewing AEW Dynamite. Also, I'm testing out something new. It may be a little clunky, it may be a little odd, but I'm planning on doing my first live podcast tomorrow. We'll see how that sounds. It's going to be around 10 o'clock. It'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Standard Time. It's on my Twitter. There's a link for it on my Twitter. In order to listen to it, I will say this. You need to either be on Google Chrome, or if you download the Podbean app, then you will be able to hear the live stream. And then, of course, the actual episode will be uploaded and edited, and it will be posted later on that day as well. But, yeah, so 10 a.m., 10 o'clock in the morning, I will be going live, and that's when we will do the AEW Dynamite review. So that should be fun. Again, bear with me. could be clunky. It's our first time doing this, and it's more of a test run because I want to see what that looks like. If this is something that I should do continuously, but yeah, we'll see. So catch me tomorrow. With that being said, if you would like to follow us on Twitter, please do so at AWN_IF. If you would like to email the show, please do so at actionwrestlingnews@gmail.com. Also, check out our website at actionwrestlingnews.com. If you would like to support the show, you can do so via PayPal. There will be a link in the show notes, and you can find a link on the website as well. Also, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just search for Action Wrestling News. And before I get out of here, don't forget that my new podcast, Classic Wrestling News, will be debuting on October 31st. We will be covering the very first Starrcade 1983, and where the main event was Ric Flair going up against Harley Race. I believe that was in a steel cage for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Throughout the week, I'm going to be posting promos from that match, some hype packages. We're going to really try to hype it up like, you're getting ready for Starrcade back in 1983. But feel free to go ahead and subscribe to that podcast. It's available wherever you get your podcast. We're going to be taking a step back in time and going through history daily, just like we do on this podcast here. So, if you're looking for action, wrestling, and news, keep it right here every Monday through Friday. Have a great day, everyone.